Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for distracted writers, hosted by Candace J. Thomas and Jodi L. Milner.
That was... Your dancing was really great there, Jodi.
It's my interpretive dance.
Welcome to Squirrel, the podcast for the distracted writer. I'm Candace.
And I'm Jodi.
Okay, this is episode 15. And we are going to talk about books, because I love books. And we're going to do what I call the witchy books for the non-horror reader. Because I love magic. I love magic. Anytime people can explore it in a different way, I'm all about. So I want to talk about witches because, we're still in spooky season. And I wanted to talk about a different way to approach doing witches, other than the classic, like Witch of Blackbird Pond or any kind of Salem witches type thing. So we searched for books that were not specifically spooky, right? You do have some witches, though, like classic witches. I have classic witches, too, but something that's not specifically spooky, and it's fun to read. And I have I don't know. I have heritage. I have witchy heritage. Do you have witchy? I have witches in my line, so I must be magic, right?
Absolutely. I'm sure I've got some in there somewhere. And anyway, I probably would have been burned as a witch, as a redhead with all the freckles.
Oh.
I still make the joke that every freckle is a soul I've stolen.
Oh.
And there's
oh heavens. Who doesn't have a soul now? Because that looks like everybody's. Okay. So we're going to kind of go back and forth like we did with our other books episode. So I will start because I wanted to bring up this book. So this is called Akata Witch by I knew I was going to slaughter her name. Jodi Okorafor. Ba-boom. Okay.
Well done.
So do you know this book at
Nope.
all? Okay. It's it's a young adult read. It is, people put it at like it to Harry Potter, but in East Africa. But it's about an albino girl named Sunny. She was actually born in America, but is living in Nigeria. And to learn about her heritage, and she discovers that she has magic, and she is sent to a special magic place, almost like Hogwarts, but not quite Hogwarts. And it's called the Leopard People. And these leopard people kind of teach her how to use magic, and there's a friendship story also. She has two other friends that also know magic, but she has to keep it secret. It's a lot more engaging, like Harry Potter. Well, Hogwarts is separate completely. You're wrapped around the magic. In this one, you're not actually. I mean, it's a lot closer to the real space of people and interacting with people and keeping your magic secret. But I really adored this book. And I know there's a trilogy. I haven't finished the trilogy, but the first one is just so engaging, and it's written the language is delightful. And one of the things that I really appreciate that the author did was research kind of her own heritage and talk about the stories of her people. And bringing these African traditions was a different way for me to look at witches, to look at the expression of magic. And it was eye-opening to me, just being a Scandinavian white girl. So reading about a different culture I absorbed it completely. And I super enjoyed this book. The culture, the story, the folklore of it, everything. Everyone should go find this. It's Akata Witch, Akata Akata Witch by Jodi Okorafor. There we go. All right, your turn.
All right. I found it hard to find witchy books because I don't tend to read I read a ton of magic. But I was struggling to find specific ones that were witchy, and I might have been taking it too literally. I might have been thinking, we need very identifiable witches. Like clearly they're witches. Like they say they're witches in the story. And so I did have a hard time finding some, but there was several that did stand out. Probably one of my top 10 books of all time is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill.
I agree with you.
Because
100%.
it's, she's a glorious writer. She does a really good job. Let me talk a little bit about the story first, and then we'll go back and why I like it.
Okay.
So, Girl Who Drank the Moon is kind of the story about overcoming bad traditions and prejudice. There's this town called the Protectorate, and they have a tradition of putting a baby in the woods, which sounds awful.
That's
because it is. Because they want
to.
to appease the evil witch living there so she doesn't terrorize the town. This is a tradition that's gone on for way too long. And it's something they've been doing kind of automatically for too long. Turns out the witch is really quite nice. And she's been taking these lovely little babies, and she's been carefully carrying them over to the town that's on the other side of the woods. And she's like, here's... Am I giving spoilers? No, I took this from the Goodreads description.
Okay.
I'm trying to be nice. So anyway, I mean, you find out she's a nice witch as soon as she steps onto the page.
That is true.
And so clearly there's going to be a lot of other things that happen. But in this story, we have this delightful, kind-hearted, huge-hearted witch that ends up raising one of these babies. And the reason it's called The Girl Who Drank the Moon is that this baby ends up... I shouldn't do the spoiler here. I should step over this, and I should just tell you all why I like it.
Yes,
because,
that's what you should do. Because everyone
that
needs
would
to
be
read this
better.
book.
So what I love about Kelly Barnhill is that she does write these for middle grade and younger. Like these are books that you can read with children.
Yes.
And she uses simple language to make powerful points. She doesn't try to wrap things up in any mystery. Like, the language is so accessible and so beautiful because it's the points she's trying to make are really lovely. So I really enjoy it because it's just so easy. It's so easy to listen to and fall into love with these read or listen to. I listened to it on audiobook and it was delightful.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, the narrator they got for this one was incredible, and I need to look up the name because apparently keeping track of your favorite narrators is a thing, and I haven't started doing it, and I want to. Because we have these characters. There's like a swamp monster who's like very, very wise, but he's like gloppy. And then there's this perfectly tiny dragon that is feisty and just wants all the things a big dragon would want, but is perfectly tiny.
Yep.
Like, it's adorable. It is so, it's like a palate cleanser of a book. Like, it's just, everything about it is really cute. And yes, there are some hard-hitting themes, and there's some very real problems that they have to solve.
Yep.
But you come out of it being like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, I love that book. I totally agree with you. Thank you for bringing up that book because I didn't put it on my list. So I'm glad you did. Okay, the next one I want to bring up is called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. There we go. Do you know this book? I have to keep on asking you because I have all these different... I read a lot. So this is a cute romance. I adore it. So it's about Mika Moon, who is hired to help three witches learn more about their magic. And they're being have like a caretaker. Like, witches are, if you're born a witch, you're kind of either killed or you like they disown you, or people just, they try to, I don't know. So there was this lady that like took these three witches into her care. And so they're being cared for in this big mansion place. And Mika Moon, so it's kind of Nanny McPhee kind of thing, where Mika Moon comes in to take care of them, but there's this cranky librarian who doesn't want them there. And he's like, I don't know, I wrote in my review here, this book is adorable. It's charmingly British. I love British stuff. And elegantly witchy. Mika is delightful, and Jamie, that's who the librarian is brooding in his cranky Irishness, which is totally true. This may have a mask of spell work, but this book is about family, and those we make our family. This is a fun read that will not befuddle your brain with complicated magic, but it's warm and inviting as enchanted tea. Oh. I know that, but this one you can read anytime, not just spooky season. But I adore this. I think I'll probably reread this season because it's just so much fun. I really liked it. So there you go.
Alrighty. So the next one, we're going to go in a totally different direction because my next one I read, and I read this one recently, is Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, which was made into...
Have you seen the series?
Not yet.
Oh, well, that is a binge worthy.
I'm told good things. So again, like my caveat before, as I don't tend to gravitate towards witches or traditional monster type things. I don't really read vampire books. But this one was recommended, and so I ended up reading Discovery of Witches, and I thought it was a really interesting book because the historical stuff in it was really well researched. And it's impressive when a book can be so entrenched in actual history where you're like, is this real? Like, you have this sense of this is something that's happening or just happened a few years ago, and you're hearing it like it's a newscast kind of thing. Like, and so I love this pulling the history together and recognizing things from history and being like, wait a minute, I know that thing. And so we have our young witch that doesn't want to be a witch. She's in college. She's like a postdoctorate student. She's very intelligent. She's being thrown into this situation that she doesn't really want to be a part of because her entire life she's like, I know I'm a witch, but I want to use my smarts and my other attributes to get ahead because I don't think it's fair if I use my witchiness to get ahead. And so she has this whole thing about I don't want to use my witchiness to be ahead. And then we learn later that there's reasons for that. Mm-hmm. Again, no spoilers. I'm really bad about spoilers. And so there just happens to be a vampire because in this particular world, there are specific magic using peoples. Yeah. So we've got our witches, we've got our vampires, and we've got our demons. And so there's also this, why are they here? Why are they different? Where do they come from? What's going to happen with them? Because there's this trend of them losing their power and they're trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah. And all of that's just like entrenched in the history. And so I thought it was a very fascinating read. I love that it was put together the way it was. I didn't know what to expect going into it. So I probably will be picking up the other ones because now I'm invested. But I will be watching the series as well.
Yeah, it's worth it.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
A witch is born when from her is torn something greater than her soul. Once upon a time, there was a young girl who lived near an enchanted forest with her sister and father. One day, while her father was gone selling firewood to the neighboring villages, her sister fell ill. Out of desperation, the young girl ventured into the forest for help. And there she found a woman who gave her everything her soul desired. Ambrosine lives next to an enchanted wood, which is no big deal when you know how to spot a magic hoax nest and trap nasty little night fairies, and certainly no big deal when there is not even a witch in the woods. When her little sister Rosaline encounters a strange new creature, she falls asleep and a dangerous fever dream threatens her life. With their mother dead and their father gone, Ambrosine gambles with the deepest desires of her soul as she fights to save her sister. Start off the witchiest month of the year with the fascinating and spooky prequel to C.M. Adler's series, The Witches of Grimm. Free on BookFunnel.
All right. The next one I have, this book, sorry, is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. And this one is, I just love this book. So it's about Vasya, who is, this is written in a time of Russian folklore. So Russian folklore kind of, it has seeds in like sorcery. And once it's kind of when the Christianity came and moved in and started to take over and change their beliefs. And so they kind of lost a lot of that folklore that kind of, that structured their entire world. So yeah, this is about Vasya, and she's the youngest daughter that was born a witch. And she is, it can be seen as like the fae folk. She can see the fae folk that are in Russian. I don't even know how to say a lot of these little creatures that
there's
protect.
The guardian of the hearth.
Yes.
And then there's there's one that's in the stables. Like they all have a specialty.
Yeah, and she can talk to horses. That's the one really cool thing that she can do. And of course there's a specific Russian tale about the Winter King and Morosko. And it's about him appearing. There's a tale of him appearing to a maiden and taking her at night. And so that's what kind of focuses on. The thing I really appreciate about this is Catherine Arden has she has like, that's her degree, is in ancient Russian folklore. And I appreciate that she could use all of this knowledge of forgotten times. So there is, it reads kind of like history, except that it explores, because it explores the entering of Christianity versus what is magical. But it tells us a lot of stories that we don't really know about these people. Oh my gosh, I just love this book so much. And the thing about I have read the whole trilogy. So there's The Girl in the Tower, that's the third one, and then the last one is Winter of the Witch. And so that's what she just kind of comes to her own there. But I just love, I think she did a marvelous job, and it's written like spun honey, and I just adore this. So yes, Bear and the Nightingale.
And this is one I read too, and I loved how it ended. I did find the beginning slower. Like it took a while to really be able to start digging into the story and the characters as they were unfolding, because I was having a hard time pulling out what the main conflict was.
Well, but and there's no apologies when she is explaining the folklore, because she throws you right into it.
Yes.
There is no, you just have to know that a domovoi is, someone who protects the fire, and you just kind of are, you gravitate into that world, and all of a sudden that you just have to know this, because it's just going to be kept on bringing up this different creature. And so there you go. I mean, it's just, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Like there's kind of a learning curve as you move into
totally.
it. And
Yeah,
then once you kind of nail it, you're like, oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Your next book.
So my next one, I'm going to throw back to an elementary school favorite back when I was a kid. And that's The Witches by Roald Dahl.
Oh,
which is
I'm so glad you brought this one up. I'm so
It's like when you think
one.
witchy books, that I feel that has to be on the list. And so we've got this whole thing about, so I was trying to figure out, because it's been so long since I've read it, I did need to look up some of the key points of it, because I couldn't remember quite what it was about.
Uh-huh.
I just remember it being like, there was a lot of stuff in it that was like, that's cool, but creepy. But the main character in this remains nameless the entire time. We don't have a name for the main character. And he learns about these witches from his grandmother, never expects to meet one. There's a chance thing that happens where he goes to train his pet mice inside a ballroom because they're traveling. And there's this huge conference of witches that's happening. And he's like behind this screen. And all of a sudden, stuff starts happening. And he's like, that's bad. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to destroy all the children of the world. Like they want to use money that they've created because they're magical witches and buy all the sweet shops.
Yes, and children stink.
And children stink.
Dog droppings.
And they've got they have patchy, scabby heads, and they have to wear wigs, and they wear masks, or I would love to say they use glamour. I don't think they use glamour, but I think they wear masks because they're really quite unattractive.
Yeah, I don't know. I only know that
Roald Dahl loves making unattractive characters.
There's no reason for any of his characters to be pretty.
No, absolutely not. No. Which is again a reason that it's like, here's the real world.
Because he's wacky, and that's and demented, and that's the thing. That's why we love him. Honestly.
So, reading it as a kid, I'm like, this is a fun romp. It's a little adventure. We're going to stop, these horrible people from doing horrible things. Yay! As an adult, I look back on it. I'm just like, that's weird.
What an acid trip!
What the? There's wow. There's so much just bizarro stuff in there where, as an adult and now as a writer, I'm just like, would I have gone there? Would I have done that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
all right. Awesome. Thank you for bringing that one up.
Yay.
All right. This is the last one I'm going to bring up because I don't know. I don't want to take too much time talking about books. But this one is The Once and Future Witches by Alex Harrow. Have you read anything from her before? She did the 10,000 Doors of January. No?
You keep finding books I haven't heard
I expect.
So usually.
Once and Future Witches, came out, a couple of years ago. But I really adore the writing style here. So it's about three sisters, very much like Witches of Eastwick, right? You have the three sisters, the Eastwood sisters, and each one has their own specific gifts. This is so it's a sister story about witches, but it's done at the time of the suffragettes. So it's not just about these witches doing like empowering women type thing, but it's also and we're going to empower witches. So if you're not going to allow us to be part of your suffragist movement, then we're going to create our own movement and we'll be suffragettes and witches. But so it's very Salem-esque. It's very, they call it New Salem, and it's done in the late 1800s, 1890 something. So not yet in the 1910s, 1920s when women got the vote. It's just these perpetual starts of it. And that's really, I do love Harrow's writing style. That's one of the things that really speaks to me always. It's just written extremely beautifully. She uses words and expressions that I just am not used to. And it makes me I like to listen to her to help me inspire to write better. Because I think her prose are just amazing. So her prose are magic. Just like her witches are magic. So, Once and Future Witches. There you go.
All right, so this will be our last book of the list.
The last one.
And I'm coming back to Kelly Barnhill one more time because yes.
Okay, I've read this book too.
Yay. Stop looking at my notes. All right, this one's The Witch's Boy, Kelly Barnhill, and this one's about a boy named Ned. And Ned grew up as a twin, and his twin is tragically killed.
Yes.
And everyone believes that the wrong boy was killed because between the two of them, he was always Ned was a kid that kept on, breaking stuff and falling over and making a mess of everything. And his brother felt like he was doing everything right all the time. And so the village is like, the wrong boy, the wrong boy. And they would call him that. I'm like, that's awful. So
it's been years since I read this book, but
I'm like, you start with this kind of tragic character who has this huge weight of being the wrong boy over him. Meanwhile, on the other side, and we see a lot of similarities through Barnhill's writings. We'll have towns that are separated but not separated. There's something linking them. So far away, there is a band of. Let's see, what are they called? They were the Bandit King and his people. And the Bandit King has a daughter, and the daughter hears a prophecy. And this is also in the Goodreads description, so calm down.
I'm not freaking out.
Right.
I'm listening.
It says, the wrong boy will save your life and you will save his. So she has this weird statement that's a prophecy meant for her about the wrong boy. And so clearly, the two of them are going to have to get together.
Oh, yay.
And the witchy factor in this is that Ned's mother is the protector of magic. She's a witch, and she's in charge of all the magic in that region. She's almost like the conduit of it. And the Raven King, that's a different story. The Bandit King, I don't know where that came from. The Bandit King wants the power. Like, he understands that if he has the power, that good things will happen to him. And so clearly, story happens.
Yes, I do love this story.
So, and I love this for the same reason I love Girl Who Drank the Moon, because it's got this lovely but simple language where the message of the story really just comes forward of the power of a friendship, and putting others before yourself, and survival against all odds kind of things. So I do find it lovely.
Yeah, Barnhill always has a really great grounded message in her stories. So we should just have an episode with Kelly Barnhill.
You think she'd join us?
I do, actually. I met her at a conference at LTUE, and we were on the same panel, and I kind of fangirled on the panel. Everyone. She will absolutely remember me, I promise. So I could reach out to her for sure.
No promises.
Yeah. Okay.
But
all right. Next episode is yours, right?
It is. So the next episode is going to happen right before Halloween.
On the 30th.
30th.
Yes.
So we're going to have a teeny tiny celebration of Halloween. Where Candie and I are going to discuss some of our Halloween favorites.
So I love Halloween. I can't wait to talk about this. So it's gonna be fun.
Alrighty.
This is my episode, right?
Yes, it is. Go for it.
All right. So don't forget, we have a Patreon, and we would love for you to subscribe to that and help us build our brand and get all the goodies, and also just subscribe and like all of our stuff and spread the word. And it's be awesome and
do the
follow us,
please.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Squirrel Podcast for the Distracted Writer with Candace J. Thomas and Jodi L. Milner. This episode was recorded at the Farmhouse Recording Studio. Please like and subscribe to our podcast for updates and new episodes, and find more information at our website, squirrelpodcast.com. Stay distracted, everyone. So we could probably find a good place to just chop that off.
Just when we start talking about protagonists randomly,
hack off that leg.
we just stop it.